morning, good evening, good night, good afternoon. Don't give me copyright flag though.
No. You can cut this out.
I sounded like a zombie.
Oh.
Just.
Yeah, in order to grow, you gotta have like some kind of goals.
Microphone check.
Like check 1 2 1 2.
What's up, man? We're back.
Down, baby.
Happy anniversary.
2 years.
It's the 2-year anniversary. 2 years ago today, I was setting up a green screen in my basement because Gil had an album to promote. That was the Writing to Heal. Wow, it's been 2 years since Writing to Heal.
Wow. Yeah. It's a whole different mindset. Just in 2 years, so much happens.
Yeah. And we were going to do it in your kitchen, you remember? And we were like, I was like, I don't know how we're going to hold the mics up. Like, I don't know. So within like 2 weeks, I was like, come over. I had the whole table set up with the green screen and we recorded. It's been such a learning curve since then, like upgrading and going from there. So now we're not in the basement. We're here live from Venture X in the Fishbowl.
Yeah, man, moving up, making progress. It's beautiful for real when you think about just the last 2 years, just all the stuff you did, all the episodes, all different types of people and subject matter you covered. Like, I'm proud of you, bro. Real talk. Like, that's crazy. You manifested the hell out of that. I was like, yo, my man just went. I didn't even expect it. I thought it was going to be like a side like hobby or something because I know you're a very creative person, but just the fact that you took it where you did, now we here. Like, that's amazing, bro. For real. Salute to you.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's one of those things where every time like you were, and that's why I wanted to bring you back on for this special episode, because if not for, I mean, I'm sure I may have got into podcasting, but you had a date, you had a deadline. A lot of people, and I do consulting in the area for a few podcasts, and everybody thinks and thinks and thinks. I didn't do any of that. I had like, granted, I worked with your brother at Royal Entertainment and a couple other studios. So I know the audio engineering to be able to mess with the stuff and the tools, but I didn't have any of the tools at the time. It was just like,
oh, it's on 11th Street, right?
Yeah, you remember that? Remember that studio?
Wow, that's when I was recording Windows to My Soul. Yo, that was mad long ago.
That was the album cover. I'll see if I have it and I can pull it up. But you had the Bible in one hand and the world in the other.
I think that was the first one you did for me.
You know what? The only thing that wasn't timeless about that album cover, and for those just joining now, I've been doing Gil's album artwork. He's a lyricist out here in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Has a huge body of work. 6, 7 albums, 5 mixtapes.
It's a lot. I think I counted them all one day. I think it's like 17 or something.
Right, 17 projects.
Maybe 7 of them that's on all streaming platforms. But yeah, it's a lot of albums, a lot of work.
But I'll see if I can throw it up. The Windows to the Soul album had you. The only non-timeless thing about it was the white tee.
Oh yeah. Yo, didn't we do that? It was outside of the mall, the pictures or something like that. I think
you sent me the picture. I think I don't know.
I remember that.
I don't know.
That's crazy, bro.
When you think a body of work, like 2 years doesn't feel. So this will be, I think, episode 60. It might be an even 60. So I was doing them every week for a little bit, then dropped to every 2 weeks. But every time I had like a guest, like I remember when we had FaZe and Tug on, when Tug dropped his project, we didn't have the ability to do more than 2 mics. So me and FaZe are trying to figure out, are we going to get a splitter? Like we ended up rigging it so that like it all worked and nobody can tell. Yeah. Nobody knows that I was in my basement. Do you know how many people tell me? They're like, where's your studio at? And I'm like, nah, you'd be surprised. But
yeah, that's crazy that you mentioned Tug. I just seen him recently at Music Fest. He was like, yo, the next one's coming. So he gonna be up here soon. Yeah. I was like, yo, that's what's up. I can't wait to hear it. Shout out to Tug and FaZe. You know what I mean? They're doing real big things in hip hop around here. Crazy. And he's been rapping forever, you know.
Did you hear the new 0 to 1?
I'm not sure if is that
FaZe's new joint dropped. Yeah.
Is it it's like a baby on the cover or something? Yeah. I didn't get to get all the way through it because I just heard about it recently. I was like, oh shit. So I tried to listen to it. He got like everybody on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty dope. So you know him, he's always blending like skits and then the way he he makes it cohesive. The way this one ends, it bleeds into the other
Oh, yeah.
track. He's very artistic with the way he puts his projects together. So shout out to FaZe.
Yeah, big shout out to FaZe. And what I think has been cool about the podcast itself is it's put me in a position like graphic design, especially working with a couple artists. It's like that was my contribution since I stopped making music myself. But to have a voice, a podcast, there's tons of people that would love to be up here. Tons of people with projects that they want to promote. And I started to run into a thing where I'm like, man, with the increased likes and increased engagement comes people that, for lack of a better term, just want to get on the mic. And shout out to everyone that reached out. The conversation probably didn't go very far if that was the idea, but when somebody has something to bring to the show, when they don't ask, well, what's your listenership? It's like, well, you're not paying for this anyway. Like this is us co-collaborating, not
For real. Yeah, you build real like genuine relationships just when you get up there, you speak from your soul, you could connect with people. Sometimes it's not always about like how far can this get, but you never know. You could be somewhere and because you heard an artist, whether it's somebody that rhymes or they're doing something in the community or they're a graffiti artist, whatever, you could, because you made that connection with them, you could be somewhere else and you could forward them out. There's somebody else out there that could get them further. It's all a big community. So a lot of times people always they're trying to leap to the highest person, but it takes steps to get anywhere. That's why they don't know the opportunity to miss it. I bet you probably like around the first episode, they're like, I don't know if I want to get on this platform. Now they might see this and like, yo, where Tony at?
Yeah, for sure. In
So,
2 years, 2 years. I mean, there is, there is a bit of being able to set it up and do it, but just like we recently did something, so I'm just coming off hiatus. This will be the first drop in almost a month, my longest break since I started in 2 years. But what I've been doing is building the pieces to be able to take the podcast anywhere, take it outside of the basement. It's great to have a controlled environment, but sometimes people 2 years ago listened to podcasts. Nowadays, if it's not a 4K experience, like, you know what I mean? Like the people are not even listening to us. They're like, oh, I don't like the Chicago Bulls. You know what I mean? Like they go and visualize, which is cool. But if you're going to do it, build with it. So being able to take this like Two Phases studio, I don't know if you saw, we did an album breakdown. We listened to the album in his studio, with
that's
the
crazy.
multiple camera, everything like that. It got over 1,000 views on Facebook. That was the only platform we did it. It was like a side thing. And I'm like, okay, I've been doing I Will Not Lose for 2 years now. I'm still going to make content for that. But rather than every other week have a different hip hop artist up, maybe put a different lane for that, where these artists are lending their projects to me, trusting me as an ear. That's where I wanted to be. So the benefits, are we monetized? Are we making thousands of dollars off talking? Not yet. But the skills that you learn, the network of people that go into, like I would tell anybody get into podcasting, you should start a podcast.
It, I think about that all the time, but I'm like, what I try to weigh out is what things can I talk about with passion in a brief manner and then keep it moving on a consistent basis. Cause a lot of times, when you get passionate about something, you could be long winded. And I know the way, the low tension spans of this era is that doesn't work well for me. And since I'm a married man with 2 children, I do a lot of things. It's like I want to find the most concise way that I could deliver that message. If I can't, then I kind of pull back and I kind of second guess it. But I mean, maybe you're not the first person to say that to me because I have a lot of different thoughts about so many different subjects. So I am playing with the idea, but we'll see. The more I'm on stuff like this, I'm like, maybe I should do it. Maybe I should get in there.
Fire. But one thing I haven't done in over a year is record a solo episode. Like I had a real block. I had all my equipment packed up. I took it out for one episode since Reggae Fest. And we could talk about that for a second. Did you see, we put a little bit of content out, but what happened was we recorded so much during Reggae Fest and we all have our original schedules. I'm like, well, I have Lisa Meisler's coming on to promote the casino night, celebrity casino night. This won't drop beforehand, but at the time of recording this coming up week, she's got celebrities coming to a fundraiser to celebrate Turning Point of the Lehigh Valley. I'm like, we put so much energy into recording our episode, it has to come out now. So we can't just drop Reggae Fest for 8 weeks. So
Yeah.
we started cutting it up, and I got a little bit overwhelmed. I was like, big shout out to Eric Rodriguez for co-hosting. He's been doing all the quality assurance. I just handed him 7 interviews. I said, I got no energy. Like 6 or 7. I was like, I cut it up. It's synced, but I haven't watched it. Like, I did everything technically that it should work. So if you could just watch it, and he did. He just texted me last night. So I'm going to cut that up the rest of the time. I was in the barber shop yesterday. Before I set up here, I was recording a podcast at shout out Law the Barber, Evan Robinson of Exalt Jiu-Jitsu. Well, a bunch of those guys go to the barber shop, and they're in my network. They're good friends of mine. We get together and set goals every year. So we're like, let's document this. And now there are other guests that are pushing me to say, okay, let me invest in some other equipment to, when you see the movies, they don't have mics on, like they may be hidden, but for the most part, there's someone holding a boom somewhere. So I'm like,
Yeah.
I wonder if we could just mic up the whole shop, that we just
that would be fire.
pick everybody up, even the clippers. But now you're like in the experience rather than something like this, which is like a studio. Everything's quiet. People are listening in their cars. Like, they're not listening to DMX right now. Like, you know what I mean? There's a different mode for it. But my listeners
That's
for I Will
fire.
Not Lose podcasts are not looking to get hyped up.
Yeah, I like seeing too how you were able to, you know what I mean, just kind of combine with different minds. Because like you say, you got overwhelmed in that one moment. So it's always good to have other people around you that can assist you. And you have like-minded individuals that can see your vision and understand it and comprehend it. That's the biggest thing, is comprehension on that. Because a lot of times you'd be like, oh yeah, that's a cool little idea. But once they really understand where you're coming from, the meaning behind it all in your heart and what you really want to accomplish, that's when people dive in. They really get on board with it. So just the fact I see you expanding, doing all these things, and just like you mentioned, like your jujitsu thing, which we were kind of talking about before.
Yeah.
Like, you've been in that, you said, two years now. And that's crazy. You know what I mean? Because I remember you toying with the idea before, because I think I mentioned it to you. I kind of wanted to learn something. Look, you 2 years in, I didn't even start yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So I was like, that's crazy, bro, just to see. And like, shout out to you on that, because I heard that's really hard on your body. I heard people that get in jiu-jitsu. I work with this one dude. He coming to you like, yo, I feel beat up right now, yo. So
I injured this shoulder first year rolling. I wasn't out, but like I was in pain training for like 6 months.
damn.
And even like basic stuff like shrimping on, I'll show you later. It's like how you get your hips away from someone. If I go onto this side, and now I'm going to give all my weaknesses out. So when they show up at my gym, I got to tape both shoulders so they don't know which one I'm talking about. But no, like you train through it. Like, they say the journey to black belt is like, it's not a straight line up. Like, there's a lot of valleys, and you got to climb yourself back up. You got injuries, you got all sorts of stuff. You got life that comes up, but you do a little bit of something. Like, people see all this equipment here. They think I got a bank loan or something, or they think, my parents just said, here's thousands of dollars to get all the equipment. But like that camera, I talk about it all the time. That one was $50. I picked it up on Marketplace and drove like 10 miles, met somebody in a Burger King parking lot. And I was like, I like that camera. So I sought it out, got that one off eBay. This one, nothing is this Rodecaster is the only thing that was like bought out. And it's crazy because I only did it because I was so frustrated. Like, after Tugs, I almost quit. There's been like, we could talk about all the times that I almost quit. Like, even coming off this hiatus, I was like, oh, would anybody notice if I just stopped putting out content? Like, if that was just it. But you run into people, they're like, oh, I see you got the podcast now. I'm like, I guess I do. I
gotta do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's
It's crazy too, bro, because I don't know, like, just like with you jiu-jitsu, or like me with like my fitness and working out, when you push through something like that, it also builds a resilience in your mind and gives you like more courage. Because when you're pushing through those reps, it's kind of like difficult situations that you could push through in your life. It kind of really builds you up, and gives you a better sense of what true bravery is. Because if you're constantly Like you don't know pain until like you're done for the day, and then you're still giving yourself that extra 10 minutes to put when your body's
Yeah.
like got nothing left. You're sweating, everything, your body's hurting. You already worked, and I still went to the gym and pushing out these reps. And you do that over and over again. Your mind builds like a callus, like, yo, I got this, I can do this. And you become empowered. People don't understand just like by health as well, just by taking care of yourself, doing different things, moving your body, using it in positive ways, and you know what I mean, just keeping yourself and watching your diet as well, because you know there's a lot of toxins and stuff that can go in our food. When you just look at it all and you take care of yourself, you feel better, and then you want to do more. You know, I'd seen something just recently by people just doing squats. They end up living longer. Why? Because when your legs are strong, that means you want to physically get up and go do things. So the longer you're moving and doing things, the less you're sitting idle and going to just wither away and die. So having strong legs for a long period of time is going to make you live longer because you're going to be out there doing shit. So just thinking the little shit like that, people are, oh, why are you in the gym? I don't feel like doing all that. Well, if you don't invest in your health now, you're going to be having to invest in your illness later because now you're paying all these bills. Sure. Yeah. So that's why I look at it like that. Like when me and my wife and go to the gym together and stuff like that, it's not about, oh, I don't want you to blow up on me. It's more like I made a commitment to be with you for the rest of my life. And you said the same thing to me. So the best thing that I could do that is to be here as long as I can for you and our children. How can I do that? By taking care of me, not just physically, but my mind too. Cause we all go through shit, you know, as men, as black men, you know, we go through a lot of shit all the time that we hold in our hearts and our minds. And we need to keep ourselves in a healthy space, set boundaries, know when we need time to ourselves and be honest with that. Like there's times that I've learned over the years, people might've wanted me to go someplace. And I'm like, you know what? I can't do that. And maybe when I was younger, I'd be like, you drag yourself into it and then your energy's bad around people that you love. Yeah. I've learned to just walk away and be like, you know what? I'm going to get up with you later. I need this time for myself. But that comes with growth, bro. You just got to learn yourself and then keep moving forward with positivity. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean?
That was Thursday for me. Well, we're recording this on a Saturday morning. Thursday, or maybe it was Wednesday at this point, but I was up from pretty much 8 in the morning till about 2 or 3 a.m. Like I put 16 hours in and I was spent, but I also had to get up for a dentist appointment at 8:30 the next morning. So for 3 days before that 16 hours, I was only sleeping 3-4 hours. And some of it was cutting up Reggae Fest content because I was like, this just isn't going to sit any longer. Like I was like, just going to do it. But I also had projects I took on, you know, like you said, I still see this as a hobby. Like all the guests come on, they're like, oh, this is a passion now. It's like, yeah, you could be passionate about a hobby, but I wanted to finish cutting a little bit yesterday. And Thursday night, it was like 6 p.m. I had nothing on. I wasn't going to sleep, but I had no music. I might have thrown on binaural beats. You know, my phone was off, all the lights are off, and I'm just laying on the couch, just no stimuli at all. I was like, I need this to, like, I'm so tired, I'm starting to hallucinate. I'm seeing things weird. And then like I remind myself, okay, this is the grind. When you don't have sleep and you don't have that mental health, that's when the negative thoughts start to creep in. You know what I mean?
100%, bro, for real. That's why, like, it's funny you say that. My job is 20 minutes away from my house. I get up 3 hours before I have to be there because I need to set myself up before I'm able to deal with people. I meditate, you know, I sit there and when I'm driving to work, I don't even listen to music. I listen to like frequencies like 528 hertz or 963 hertz or 174 that deals with pain and stuff like that. And I just let that, and I kind of just zone out. And then once I park in a parking lot, like 45 minutes before I have to sign in, I sit there and I'll do breathing techniques because I have to get myself right and in a peaceful state before I deal with all these people that I deal with every day, because I want people to get the best version of me. You never know what somebody else is going through. So if I'm at the best version of myself, then when they speak to me, I can bathe in gratitude and lead with love in any situation. And that way, by the end of the day, when I look at myself in the mirror, you know, I'm like, you know, I'm proud of you, Gil. You know, you did the best you could. You set yourself up for success. So even if you didn't run to the goal, I jogged to that shit. You know what I mean? At least I got there. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And that's how I look at it. I hold myself accountable every day Did I do enough today? Did I look in this person's eyes when I was talking to them? Did I give them my full attention, or did I have my phone in my hand and act like what they were saying wasn't important, what it wasn't vital to me? I look at all the things that I do as a human being, and I try and I push every day to get better. Why? Because not only for me, but my kids, they see me every day. If my energy is off, it's gonna kind of disrupt their growth and their process. That's why every day, like I talk to my son, and he calls me before he goes to school, because I'm out of the house before anybody wakes up. He calls me, and we have a mantra that we do every day, because I want to, like Inception, put things in his mind. I tell him every day, and we go through a mantra that we say and say, I am honest, I am pure, I am loving, I will be the best I can be today. I am a champion in life. Like I have him saying these things. I don't just say it. I'll say, now say it back to me. And then we say, all right, you got this, baby. Like I have to say that, because that's my prince. He's going to be a king. And I got to make sure he feels that and knows from his dad, from the day that when he starts his day and he's like, before I even get to school around other kids, I know that this man loves me. He got my back, and I'm going to be an honest, pure, loving individual. And I'm a champion in life, and I got this. And I tell him that every day, even on my worst days when I'm just like, damn, I'm out of it, I'm tired. He deserves that energy from me, because he's my legacy. Before I affect anybody else, I need to affect him. And that's how I look at it. I give him a kiss on the forehead every day. I kiss my daughter. I let her know I love her with all my heart, because they need to hear these things. And that's the future. You know, people, they work so much, and, you know, we do a lot, but you still need to look at your kids in the eyes and tell them how important they are, how much value they have, that they can do everything. And if you fall, I got you. I'm right here. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And that's how I look at it, bro, is I think so deeply and passionate about things, but I make sure I start with my home first. Because if my home is terrible, how can I go outside and try to teach anybody anything? They're going to look at me like, yo, your home is trash, bro.
For sure.
So that's why I try to lead by example, and then learn from people too, as I, you know what I mean, every day as I get older.
It's easy to have the perception on Facebook or anything like that. But before I get into that, I wanted to ask you, do you parent different between the boy and the girl?
Yes and no. I mean, my oldest, she's so bright. She's very smart. She's a class president. She gets straight A's. Like she's incredible. Her mind, like I was just talking to her, like I had to drop her off at dance before I came here. And like sometimes I forget I'm talking to my kid, because she's telling me she's very into like science and stuff. So she's breaking down all this stuff that she learned to me. And I'm just like, yo, I didn't even know that. Like, so it's the way I talk to her is a little different, because when you're raising a woman, it's more like I kind of let my wife lead in that manner, because she's a woman, so she understands more what she's going through first. I look at it for a source of protection, and I let her know that she's loved, and I give her space. Like the moment, you know what I mean, she started hitting puberty and stuff like that, I was like, all right, I don't walk in the door, I knock, I give her space. You know what I mean? That is your time, and stuff like that. So it's kind of like I set her up in a way that you're always going to be protected, and I'm here, but you're allowed to live your life. Just respect the rules in the house. Be a good human being that respects people. Always say how you feel. I tell her that all the time. I was like, but if you're speaking to an adult, just do it in a respectful way, baby. But I don't want you holding in how you feel, because that's how you build up resentment. I was like, if you think I'm wrong about something, I will give you the space to voice that. Just don't ever disrespect me when you're don't be yelling at me, but I will listen to everything you have to say, because you're going through something. You're living in a period of time that's different from mine. Like I blew her mind today just by telling her that we actually all used to have to use faucet water at one point. She thought that there was water bottles all our life, bro. She was like, really? I was like, yes. Like there was a point, like just
Oh, you remember how big? I forgot about
crazy,
that,
right?
Because
Like,
there was a
you're
whole
so
thing
used to
about
it.
plastic. Like you get the little magazines in school, and they'd be like, "All these water bottles are in the ocean and stuff like that."
Yo,
Yeah,
like that blew her mind. She was like, what? Like I was like, I'm dead ass. I'm dead ass.
there's a couple of them that blow my mind when I'm talking to my son about like even just accessibility to music. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Like we have all this. This is still somewhat analog, but like he's got an interface to go into his phone, or we're gonna get him one because he wants to learn. Like, but my son does think I'm the man. He was at our podcast yesterday, and he thinks all the stuff I do is cool. But I think there's something where he wants to kind of like make it his own way or whatever, which I can respect. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? I'm
Personalities developing. Yeah.
I didn't come from nepotism, so why would I just be like, okay, he's into music and stuff like that. He's got to train to a certain point. I told him, and we've agreed, he has to have 5 tracks ready before we can go to producers and say, hey, help me with this with a sound or shop beats or anything like this.
Uh-oh.
You're
You got
not
something
just
coming.
recording into your phone on, you know what I mean, with AirPods, throwing the beat over top, uploading it to TikTok and going and
man.
swiping your TikTok account when we go to like, some of the producers in this area. So
Right.
I'm going to bring him through it, but like, I push him. You gotta be ready to create this. You gotta look, we got time. You're this old. You have nothing but time. I'm not gonna push you like crazy. But now that you started high school, like, especially if you don't have crazy homework like that, like he goes to a music school, you know what I mean? So you should be shooting your own music video. You have all the tools, and I could show you here's how you do it and stuff. But he shows me stuff. I didn't know about CapCut before my son.
Mm.
And a lot of videographers will say CapCut. Look, at the time of recording this, CapCut got more users than the subscription stuff. And granted, it's free, but there's a constant change in whatever you do. Like, I like how you said you don't live in the same world. And that's how we kind of went off. Like, for you to recognize that all you could do is set your kids up to do the best in their world, for me, it's big on pushing them to do stuff with information. Like, and I started that before disinformation was rampant, but like, you used to have to walk to the one room schoolhouse to get the books on the wall. Like an Encyclopedia Britannica, there might be one for the village or whatever. Like, now everybody has access to all information always. You got to know what to do with that.
Yeah. And it's very on the other side too, just with having a son also, like with my son in particular, it's always going to be a little bit different than my daughter the older he gets, because my daughter is always going to be like behind me, protection, until like if she gets married, and then now she's protected by her husband. My son, I kind of got to be like, all right, at a certain point, you got to pick up the shield and a spear. You got to learn how to do exactly what I'm doing. So it's a different mindset. It's kind of like a passion to the torch. You're going to be the man. You're going to be the protector of your own space. At some point, if my daughter gets married, she's going to be protected by her husband. And I'll still be like a different form of protection from her, but that's going to be her primary source of protection is her husband if she chooses to get married. And same thing, my son, he's going to have to learn the responsibility of it all. And so there is a bit more of a toughness, but because he's only 11 right now, I'm not like crazy on him about it. But I do let him know certain things. Like, you have to be firm like this. Like he just sees the way, like, I open doors for his mom, just the way, yeah, or when he opens up the doors, and he'll see the way I do, or I'll walk on the outside of the street, like little gentleman like things. So hopefully one day when he has to court a woman that he's very interested in, he'll be more gentleman like. He'll speak to them properly. He won't say derogatory comments that'll bring their energy down. He'll know how to present himself in a way that he comes off as intelligent, loving, caring, but still strong and willing to protect you. And those things take time. I don't like to try to rush those on him because he's still a kid and he's like in the video games and he's dancing. So as he talks to me and I see our conversation progressing, then I add something. All right, now maybe I'm gonna give you this extra chore and stuff like that. I don't want to rush it on him, because I always tell my kids, be a kid for as long as you can be, because this world is ridiculous. I was like, and I got your back.
Way.
You know what I mean?
Same way. And you got to meet the kids where they're at. Like, my daughter doesn't respond the same way as my son, so you have to have you can still have the same morals and the same values you're trying to instill, but like, you can't do it the same way, and our parents, it seems to be a thing, because our parents said, oh, you guys don't know how good you have it. And the generation before them was like, you guys don't know how good you had it. We survived a plague, a world war. We're hoarding napkins. We're thinking they're going to drop the bombs on us. You know what I mean? You guys can go to college. So it's like, you grow and you go from there. And it's easy to have a great outward looking, you know what I mean? Like, there's accomplishments and stuff, and we have problems, and we have great things that I look at other people, but it's all a matter of perspective, like, you can never tell. There's no book on parenting that says you did it right. There's no way you could do it right and your child still ends up in prison or doing something wrong. It happens all the time. So it's like we're not with our kids right now.
Yeah.
They're being influenced by some outside force right now. So, I like to lead by example. That's one of my biggest ways of parenting. You know what I mean? Or I may not have the strictest hand with my daughter. She says, I can't really figure out what your major flaws are. I was like, don't get me wrong, I have them, but I'm constantly working on them. You know what I mean? Whether it's journaling or going to therapy or having somebody to bounce off, you know what I mean? I get my kids all into that and supporting strong mental health. They don't get the sleep just yet. I'm trying to, and when you're younger, it works a little bit more in your favor. You can get off on 5, 6 hours,
Oh my
but
God. Yeah.
you know, I remember when I first had my son and I saw what it was like to not sleep the whole night. Before that, like even my early 20s, it was just like you can go to sleep and you can get up when you have to and do what you have to do for the day. Now it's like, oh no, there's this schedule that somebody else's. So that's wild.
Yeah, I don't miss those sleepless days. That was crazy.
I'm glad to see you're still doing the getting up 3 hours. I should cut pieces from our original. I got to see how much time I have to put this out, but I would cut from the original conversation when you're like, I get up 2 hours before. I think you said two back then. Now it's three. Next
Yo,
thing
you get older, you get less tolerant of people like, no, I need that extra hour, bro. For real. Should be crazy out here, man.
No, the worst for me is after I'm working like 16, like that day that I worked 16 hours. Big shout out to Cliff of Los Domineros, but we were going over the reality show that I'm working on with him. So after my day contract, I worked for a little bit, drove out to him, and then drove out to my buddy Ron, the host of Fed Up podcast, and we're getting him moved from audio to video. So like I said, I was doing podcast consultation. I'm sitting there and I'm like, a little bit ago, I said, this is a lane I want to get into, that it was going to be hard to find me without a mic. And then by putting my head down and saying like, okay, I'm going to do it, I'm here manifesting it. So even though it's hard work, I'm not sad. But I had 5 meetings at the day contract, 2 meetings after that. Throughout 16 hours, I met with 7, 8 people. And each of those people, I need to give the energy of the first person of the day. I can't give you different energy because I'm tired or whatever. And you do, but you got to just be cognizant of it. So when I walk to Wawa to get something to eat, like I've literally had problems. Just like a week or two ago, somebody came up to me. They're like, did you feel some sort of way? I'm like, dude, I'm just so tired. You know what I mean? I'm like, I'm telling them I had a long day and stuff. And I was like, geez. So even that woke me up. I'm like, okay, maybe just hit the drive-through. Take a little longer, but don't get out the car if you're that tired. Like there's certain times you just need to not be
those little
around
pockets
people.
of space that you get in between things is everything. Like that's why I said sometimes I don't even play music, bro. Sometimes you just need to be with your thoughts. You need that personal time to be like, all right, how am I going to say this? How am I going to move? And you need that because we're so overly stimulated by everything.
It's insane.
People hate quiet. Like tell a person to be quiet for 10 minutes, like turn off your phone, turn off the TV and just go stand outside and just close your eyes. Most people can't do it. They're so jittery because we're overstimulated. You could just scroll all day. You got Netflix, you got billions of things to watch. You could go so many different places. It's like they don't know how to keep their mind still. But when I've kept my mind silent is when I found the most beautiful discoveries about myself and what I really wanted. And sometimes you push things off because I'm busy. I got this responsibility. I need to think about this. But you keep going down that rabbit hole, soon you're going to forget who you are and you're just going to be basically like a machine. You're going to be operating on all these mental systems in your cerebellum that are constantly just moving. It's kind of like you ever be driving somewhere that you're familiar with and then lose time for like 10 minutes. And then you be like, dang, you know you were driving, your body was still doing it, but you lost time. It's because that's all in your cerebellum. Like it becomes a program. So at some point we become zombies, literally. We're just, our minds are operating off of familiar systems. That's why you got to like bring awareness to it. Where am I at right now? What am I doing? I'm in front of a mic. It has a blue ring. Like had I not just looked at it, I wouldn't even know that it was a blue ring around.
Yeah. No, it's beautiful. Look where we look where we are right now. It's hard with the headphones on too. Watch, do this for a second. Take the noise canceling off. We're really here right now.
Like, yo, I hear everything. The frequencies are speaking to me. Start wilding and shit.
It's dope. But yeah, so do you have any new projects coming up? You mentioned to me when I saw you
Oh,
the other
at
day.
Allen, when I saw you at Allen.
Yeah, that's right. That was at Allen. That was at the performance.
Yeah, yeah, both our sons was in it.
Kendrick was dancing and Jay was singing Coldplay.
Yeah, that's dope. Yeah, I just finished recording an album not too long ago. Right now it's in the mixing and mastering phases. You know, once I get done with that, then I send you the album. We start working on the cover.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, right now it's in mixing and mastering, but my recording portion is done. Um yeah, it's called Conquer and Cultivate. CC. So yeah, it's a very, very deep album, but it's so versatile. It's one of those albums it's deeper than it feels initially because it's got a lot of energy to it. It's more especially in the first half of it, it's really anthem based. But everything that I'm saying in there is definitely a reflection of how I feel now and just different things that I've observed in the world and just came to at peace with from going through my own journey with therapy and just looking out in the world. And sometimes just like what we did with like Be Okay a couple years ago and just putting yourself out there with people, you really get in a space where you want to take the time where if I am writing, I want to say something important. It's something that means something to me. You know what I mean? Like I sit down and I'm not just like, yo, let me get at this dude's neck in the hip hop sphere. And that's still good because that's what we came up on. But like I'll just sit there and it's like, you know what I mean? What I discovered all my years in this earth, your respect is defined by the cheers on the turf, is bullshit and the cause of the fears that you birth. Now we're drowning from the waves of the tears we could surf. So this is victory. You hear the track spitting. A triumph for my people that thought we lack winning. I speak truth, leaving the bulk of the flack thin and showing love and adulation for all of my black women. Alice H. Parker, born in New Jersey, gets a spotlight. This queen is too worthy. Highly educated out of Howard University, graduated with honors. I'm pledging respect so earnestly. These days we flaunt our last purchase. This woman here invented the gas furnace. Don't get me started on how women get it down. That reminds me, Marie Van Britton Brown, Jamaica, Queens, New York is where she's from. But living in the slums made her calculate the sum of her creative mind. Drenched in the purity, wisdom was in her soul and made the first security system. Like, that's the shit I want to talk about now in my 40s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't want to just talk shit. You know what I mean? I want to give you some shit from my soul. You know what I mean? That I really feel that is articulate and is expressive of knowledge and wisdom and passing out something and really telling you what's in my soul. And sometimes it takes you a minute to get to a point where everything you rap comes out like that. You know what I mean?
That was the did you hear that verse I put on Johnny? I shot a music video. It might have been this year, it might have been last year or whatever.
Was it your song where you just featured on it?
I was featured on it.
Featured on it, right? Where you
I was the positive light to like the whole thing.
I do remember you sharing that the one time. I do remember. I was like, I didn't think it was your song. I think you were on somebody else. I thought it was a feature because if you would have dropped the album, I'd be like, yo, when is it coming out?
But my point was, there's only so much energy I could put to music. Like I had to do something to see, and it was just right. I heard the beat. He's like, you should write something to this. Then it was like, you should record something. Then it was like, we should shoot a music video. So it was like, all right, one thing led to another. We put it. But,
he was like, nah, bro.
The thing is, it was all mental health. You know what I mean? Like I said, self-love and reflection. Now that's success. No, I put together just a positive verse, speaking on positivity, speaking about self-reflection, speaking about coming and having your back against the wall and then like getting out of it. Like that's a flex. You know what I mean? I'll put the verse in just so people could hear it or whatever it's worth, or I'll just cut this whole section out. We'll figure it out. But no, that was dope. That was dope what you dropped, man. I'm excited to hear the album. What do you have for beats and instrumentation? Like you using the same producer?
Yeah, my boy.
Triple Threes?
Triple Threes. He's doing most of the album. And then my boy, Mr. Soundproof, who did half the production on my last album, Writing to Heal. So I have both of them again. You know what I mean? They're, I'm getting some from Mr. Soundproof. He's more when he plays me beats, he's like real anthem based. So like his stuff has a lot of energy to it. So his tracks tend to get me in like my hype bag. And then like Triple Threes, he gets me in my contemplative, like I'm very like, oh man, I gotta think of I'm thinking of the most creative stuff ever when I'm on his type of beats, or I'm get really long winded on his stuff because his stuff is really like musical. He'll start it off with this sound, and by the time the track ends, it then formulate into something else. It's like a living, breathing thing.
Mhm.
Whereas Mr. Soundproof is give you those anthems. You're like, it's like a
You
immediate.
need a hook.
Yeah,
You need
so-
a dope hook. You
yeah,
need
like
a,
as soon as I hear Mr. Soundproof stuff, my boy Angel, like I'll immediately start thinking of hooks. So I'm like, oh, this feels like a single. Like, but when I get triple threes, I'm thinking of the album cut stuff. Like that he gets me in my album cut bag where I want to do my really detailed writing and stuff like that. So by putting both of those energies together, because they were both throwing me beats like crazy, I just started piecing together an album. And I wrote and it's crazy because I wrote it slow. Like what you hear is gonna have so much depth and so much stuff. Like that one verse I spit is on a track there, but I wrote this stuff slow. Like in between me being a husband, a father, working.
Right.
I wasn't rushed. I'm not on a label, so I could write it as I want to. You know what I mean? But it came out beautifully, and I'm very excited for the world to hear it. Like I cannot wait, bro. Like I was just writing this. I was like, because we know as MCs, there's certain albums we do where I like go highly conceptual, like my palm readings. I know people that want to get lit ain't listening to that. That's like the more headphone album. Or when I did when the Music Speaks album was all soul samples. That's more like the 90s vibe and stuff like that. When I did the Now I Know album, I had more trap stuff on there. So that was the one that the younger generation loved the most because it had more trap sounds on it. You know what I mean? This is the type of album, literally all those groups, you could just press play. You're going to love the album. That's how crazy it is because I have so many sounds coming at me. So my style is constantly changing. I'm doing different cadences and just the way my couplets are coming together, and it just happened organically. And when I put it all together, I was like, wow, this album is very cohesive, but it goes so many different directions. You know what I mean? And I really love the way it feels. And I was going over it with some people and they were like, yo, dude, this shit is crazy, bro. So I can't wait for the world to hear. I feel like I'm about to like have a get rich or die trying moment around here. Like if it feels like that.
It's the one.
It just feels like it. But I would like it would be bittersweet because I'm at the point where I rap for therapeutic purposes, and because I'm an MC, I don't really look at it as, oh, I'm trying to like, you know what I mean, take over the world like I did in 07 or something. Like I don't look at it like that anymore. I'm like at peace with the fact that I just love being an MC and I do it for the culture. But
I let all the TikTok comments bounce off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I let all the TikTok, the whole, your beat selection could be this. By the way, I sell beats. Go to gorillabeats.com, $5 for a 3-pack. It's like the world. It's funny because that is kind of the way it was. You just had people physically coming up to you and trying to sell you beats. Like there was no rights. There was no like DistroKid or ASCAP. It was just like, yo, I got 5 beats, pay me $50. You could have them.
That's crazy. But watch, this would be the one that everybody starts flocking to. And they like, now they want you to start some crazy career. I'm like, man, you want to do this to me? I'm in my 40s now. I'm trying to chill, bro. Now, this would be the one to blow up, right? It'd be crazy. I mean, I'll take it, whatever. But I mean, I'm at peace where I'm at. You know, there's people that I guess they'll do the culture. And they'll be like, oh, you're too old to rap. You're only too old to rap if you're not handling responsibilities.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We talked about that when we had Angel up here, Hitman, Angel O'Hare on his episode title is Keep Creating, because he's like, everybody thinks you got to be like a teenager. They think you got to be, 19 years old to create content and all that. And it's like, even when I talk to younger streamers, because I don't try to sun anybody. I don't be like, we know the way it is. Yeah. I'm like, yo, if you're in high school now and you got 4 hours a day to mess around with CapCut, you're going to be like a movie director by the time, like, just because you know the tools, it's easier to do the things that took longer before. So when I'm talking to younger streamers, they're like, look, you can stream this. You're just going to gather the crowd that's more into the positivity and the stuff like that. It's not going to be so much entertainment. And we also got to take advantage of the fact that we don't look young. I hate that you said you were in your 40s, because even without the gray beard, like, you know what I mean? You could tell you're healthy. So it's like, hey, if you don't have a radio, like if you got a radio face, they call it, there's still plenty of lane for audio only podcasts. Like you don't have to go video or anything like that.
That's true. That's very true.
You know, there's a lot of good things going on in this area. He just came to the top of my mind. Shout out to Chino Gomez over at the podcast house. They got a bunch of shows coming out. They're right down the street from here. You got a lot of different things going on. I don't know if I'm allowed to announce it yet, but he's been having it all over Facebook. Johnny Bills has got a podcast he's working on putting together.
Nice.
Talking to him consulting. Big shout out to all the music that dropped this year. I've been really listening to the local scene. Thinking off the top of my head, Eric Rose, Quasa the Artist, Johnny Bills. I've been listening to a lot of 0610, definitely Phase One. Devin Haley was in my top 5. Like if I throw my DJ on for Spotify, it plays mostly local music.
Nice.
A-Town Slim for sure. Everybody in that whole lane that Phase produces and stuff puts out great projects. I just started getting into Black Dre. Big shout out to Black Dre. His name comes up all the time, but I was late to hop on to the music. So there's still a couple other people that I want to do more of a deep dive into. Murdoch. But it's cool to have a ear to the point where people are like, okay, look, he's not trying to exploit all the artists and get them up here to sell content and TikToks and pay nothing back. Like I'm up here to collaborate with artists, with like minds, with people. It's not even just a hip hop thing. You know, some of the people I've had in recovery, those episodes have done really well where people need to hear that there is a light on the other end of the tunnel, if that makes sense. Like I like to hear the story of, like you said, I'm not, and that's the original premise of our first episode. It's like, I'm not Jay-Z, you know, but this is what music does for me. This is that therapy. And I had no idea the podcast would be such a level for therapy myself. And that's why I'm sitting up here and I'm like, do I want to go back to doing the solo episodes where like people connected? Do I want to keep doing like, where do I want to go with this? And then I just sit, meditate and pray on the fact that we're here. Like we're still doing it after 2 years. Who knows where we'll be in a year from now?
Gonna be in a castle.
You know what I mean? The fortress, right?
I'm gonna have a crown on it, the whole robe.
Well, we're flying first class with Mr. Elon Musk right now because I can never get Elon Musk because I shouted out that I didn't want him. When I first started the podcast, I was like, I don't want the Elon Musks. I want the,
they're gonna pull up the clips.
Yeah, right.
They got the receipts.
I'm sorry, but even just to be the podcast producer, even just for people to be like, yo, let me pick your brain, let me do this and stuff, and let me throw you a couple bucks for your expertise. I'm like, that's super dope. But you, man, if you want to start a podcast, you want to put this stuff together, I mean, let me know. I'm always upgrading equipment, but these mics you can get for less than $100. And
yeah, man,
that's the biggest reason I don't do the live. You know, that's shout out to DJ Focus podcast. He's got you check them out on Thursdays at all?
No, I haven't been.
Got to put you on a DJ Focus, man. Big shout out to them and Quantitated. They have a show. They go live, pull like 50 to 100 viewers every week, and people are going nuts in the chat. They talk about things that I'd be scared to talk about. You know what I mean? Like,
they get controversial with it, huh?
A little bit, but it's cool because they have differing opinions. It's not arguments, you know, it's highly watchable. So big awesome. Shout out to them. That's a Tutty podcast with GT Roberts. You can't be in the scene and not know the scene as well too, and know who's making moves and stuff. And you just watch for a little bit. Empower 610, you know what I mean? They're coming back. Now they've been off a hiatus for a little bit. They've been putting out content. Dope Individuals Only with Eric Rodriguez. I could get you on there when you're ready to drop the album. He'll definitely interview you. He's got a great show.
That's hard. Yeah, I don't even have a release date yet for real. I'm just trying to like, cause you know, you got bills to pay and getting mixing, mastering and all that stuff that costs money. So I'm just trying to make sure it come out right. But I'm proud of it. Like I got the half mixed version that I listened to just to make sure my performance was right. And I'm happy with it already. And it's not even mixed and mastered yet. So I can't wait for you to hear this album. You're gonna be like, yo, bro, this is different, but it's fire. You know what I mean? It's like an immediate, you know what I mean? It's not something that has to grow on you. You feel it right away. You know what I mean? So just like if that that verse that I spit was any indication, that's like I'm just going different areas. This is where my brain and where it took me. You know what I mean? Where it took me. This is what I wanted to say in that moment. This was in my heart. And I just wrote it. And that's
No, and I can
let it
relate
fly.
with that. So drop before I spit, drop your any promos you got coming up, anyone you want to shout out.
Just my family. You know what I mean? My family. My wife, my kids, my brother, my niece, my nephews. Like I love y'all. You know what I mean? Just in anybody that I come in contact with on the daily, you know, that I interact with that affects me in any positive way or just shares their experience with me, whether positive or negative, just know that it's a place of learning and growth for me at all times. I look at every experience as an opportunity for growth. I try not to just kind of rest on the fact that oh, this is bad's happening to me and the world hates me. I believe every day that I have a choice. And I try not to stay angry at things because most of the things that happen to us is really most of our reaction. It'd be like 10% of what actually happened and 90% of reaction. If somebody comes in here right now while we're doing this podcast and he's like, y'all suck, I could be like, all right, cool. And then they could walk away and then we continue the podcast. Or I could be like, yo, who you talking to, son? And then stand up, fight. Everything gets messed up.
Yeah, right.
The glass breaks. And now we're in prison. Like all that happened because I didn't know how to handle myself in that.
Because you didn't know how to react.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's how life is. Like we want to punch people and break everything in here instead of just being like, all right, cool. And keeping it moving and having a beautiful day. And when you look at things through that lens, you realize, you're like, you know what? A lot of my shit that happens to me is my fault. I try to blame everybody else, but really you might lack maturity, you know, that you need. And then the emotional maturity, that's the one thing. People don't have emotional maturity. I can talk, I'm at a space and I'm so proud to say this more than almost anything is that I can literally talk about anything and not get defensive. Somebody could ask me any type of question and I could be like, all right, and I could talk about it. I could talk about the people I lost in death. I could talk about crazy shit that happened to me when I was younger. I could go through it all and I'd be like, I'm not ready to talk about that because I went through therapy. I've dealt with my emotions. I'll go through my breathing. I hold myself accountable. So I know how to talk about these things and articulate myself in a way that it comes through where you can understand me and still be like, even though I've came this far, I know where I still need to grow at because I look at myself every day and I'm like, yo, I got this. I could do this. You know what I mean? I'm a king. I'm powerful. I'm worthy and wise. I'm loving. You know what I mean? Like, and I know how to empower myself before I even speak to anybody. I have to carry that energy in my frequency. So when I'm talking, when I shake somebody's hand, that they could feel it, that they're like, oh, Gil, he's got himself in a space where he knows who he is. And he doesn't have everything figured out. But damn it, if I want to figure something out, I'm going to try.
He said to the handshake.
You know what I mean?
He said, you should know by my handshake that my house is.
It's in order, baby. You know, you got to feel the energy. You know, you got to bring that with you wherever you go, because that's who you are. I like to lead with my spirit, man. I don't like to, and I've noticed too. I like my isolation so much now because I usually go around people or I'm around people throughout my week at work that are low frequency people. They don't deal with their stuff. They just kind of like, you know what I mean, go with the flow of things. And that's why a lot of times I used to want to put my opinion on people so much, but like they come to me with something and I want to give them a solution so bad, but they might not be at the place in their life to hear the solution. Sometimes people just need to vent. You just be like, yo, I got you, bro. Yo, anything you need, and just let them go. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times people need to go through a couple of things. Like,
you got to be empathetic and realize too, like when your teenagers are going through something crazy, you can't be like, yo, man, I just lost $20,000 on a bad account for someone. I got to deal with that at school tomorrow or work. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't minimalize their problems. You can't do that with people. And sometimes people are not always just ready to. Like, I'm the last one to judge anyone for drinking or anything like that, you know, but it's usually not like you have one bad experience and then you quit drinking. It's usually like a slow thing where people are telling you for a while. Then finally it's like, okay, you learn what that accountability means. You learn what saying like, okay, if I'm in this situation, you know, like I said this morning, what did I do? Because I have enough control over my business and my hobbies that I should not be up as late as I was. it was more like something I was going through with insomnia that I just channeled into creating rather than just lay there and be nervous. You know what I mean? Because I've dealt with that and I've been through times of insomnia. And it's like, okay, that's when I pray. I prayed for like an hour Tuesday night when I was up because I was like, that's what's going to bring my center back. That's what's going to help with the attention. And even if there's nothing but the science, if you want to be scientists, you get upset that I'm spiritual and Gil is, then think about the fact that you're just focusing your mind on centering, relaxing, things like that. Like that should have its own effect in bringing you back to normal. And then last night I was like, man, all I got to do is just set this up for the video to export out and I'll have more done as of tomorrow. I was like, no, I deserve it to Gil. He's coming through. We have everything set up. I literally can just walk in tomorrow. This would have taken a ton of time to set up if I didn't do last night, but I got 8 hours of sleep.
So did I.
Left-
It's amazing. Bro.
Left at, I went into jujitsu and I said, hey, I got a hard stop at 10. You know what I mean? We didn't do a ton of extra rolling around today, but everything came. And then as soon as I pull up, you're like, hey, I'm a little bit early. Like, you know what I mean? Like if you're early, you're usually like 10, 12. You were like 34 minutes early and so was I. So I was like, all right.
The frequencies is aligned. That's the shit I'll be talking about, bro. Like we didn't even know it just happened. You know what I mean? When you carry yourself a certain way, just it seems to work out for you. You know what I mean? Because I was like, damn, I am a little bit early. And then I call you and here you go. I was like, that's crazy, bro.
Just pulling up.
This
That's
is
perfect.
insanity, bro. I mean, that's the way I like to live life. Just being as prepared as I can be. And when you really know yourself, you know things that hold you back. Like what makes me late all the time. Like without you admitting it out in the public, you know in your mind what keeps you late, what makes you be rude to a person, what makes you do this. You might not want to vocalize it yet because maybe you didn't fully wrap your head and emotions around it, but you know it in your heart. There's just a lot of things that we feel uncomfortable about sharing. And that's why, like, I know I always say to people about therapy or find somebody that you love, that you genuinely respect, that you could just vent to and talk about things in your head. Because leaving all that shit in your head is going to make you lash out one day on the wrong person. And it can, 2 seconds, it could really change your life. Punch the wrong person in the face, shoot the wrong person. And you know what I mean? Do something, go rob somebody, do something stupid, cuss the wrong person out, get fired, you know what I mean, at work. Say something really painful and malicious to somebody that you loved and respect. And now your relationship is now fractured because of that. I keep myself mindful of all these things because a good person, like for the rest of my life, I could get up right now and say something happened where I wasn't able to speak to you, not because we had beef, just our lives once, and I was never able to speak to you again, and say afterwards, I heard a year from now you got mad and shot somebody, and they had an interview with me. It was like, yo, I didn't know Tony was a bad person. I was like, Tony was never a bad person. You know what I mean? It was like maybe something happened from the last time I've seen him that made him go down that path, but he was never bad. He was a good man. And I have all these experiences that show that. You know what I mean? Your character is what I'm forever going to remember. And I'll always stand by that. So that's what I mean. Like, it's just kind of when you could get yourself in a good space and really affect people in a positive way. You know what I mean? And know that you tried your best. Like I made the whole jogging thing. Like some days I can't run to the finish line. I gotta jog today. Sometimes it might be a walk, bro, maybe even a crawl. But guess what? You didn't stay stagnant. You didn't stay still. And for that, anybody that at least crawled today, if that's all you could do, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you because there's people that stand still and then years pass by and they're in that same spot. But if you crawling today, a year from now, the person that stood still that was next to you can no longer see you. That's how far away you got. And that's how much you progressed in your life. And people look at the small steps and they shun on them, but you'd be surprised how far you can go through just consistency and willpower. And that's how I like to live my life, bro. Just if I can't run today, damn it, I'm a crawl. You know what I mean?
Sure, man.
Crazy.
What's the rest of the day look like? You crawling or you got a lot going on?
I'm going to try to crawl, but the way my life is set up
is going nuts.
Yeah, I mean, it might be. Yeah, because, my kids are in dance and there's always a lot of random stuff happening. But I like to always leave space, you know what I mean, to where I can get my mind right. And could be simple meditations or sometimes I try to read. I need to read more. The one year I was reading a little bit more, but I want to start reading more, challenging myself to read again and quiet my mind that way. Cause I'm really good for meditation, but actual like using that time to read, I don't know, for some reason my brain's not good with doing that yet. That's something I'm working on. I want to read more than I actually do. My wife reads crazy, bro. Tanya read freaking 50 something books this year already. Like she's
50,
spazzing.
yeah.
She's going in.
Physical or audiobooks?
She likes physical. She doesn't like audio as much.
Oh,
like,
she doesn't like audio at all?
like she'll listen to certain things audio, but like she loves like getting the book, holding it in her hand
for sure.
and reading. Like
Sure.
she likes, she'll have her tablet for certain things she'll read on it. But she loves like an actual book in her hand. I'm trying to do that more. It's just that's my struggle.
Oh man.
I'll be like, man, like I'll be trying to so bad. I'll be like, I don't feel like reading these damn words.
I read a lot on a screen, but I'm big on audiobooks. I got limited sight in this one eye. So it's like a little, it's like,
got you. Yeah, that makes
I wanted
sense.
to get into audio before I lose it. All my stuff I do now, like just in case I completely lose sight in my right eye, I want to like train myself. Like as dumb as it sounds, even when I'm training, that's why I got into grappling and not so much striking, because I have that disadvantage. So I don't know. So you hear that? Right shoulder and right eye disadvantage. So I gotta tape both of them and wear a patch over both my eyes.
So until he heals, he is a master of gun fu. Like just know that before you try to get the drop on him.
No, yeah, there's a lot of people that train and carry. Think about it. Like John Wick had that stuff to fall back on in case the other guy was able to disarm him.
Yeah, that is true. You know how many times they got him out of a situation? He was getting his ass kicked and just boom. He's like, okay, that fixed that problem.
But we'll end on that, man. I'm going to land the plane. We've been going about an hour. We'll chop some. We'll make a good episode about it, man. Happy anniversary. And thank you for pushing me into this endeavor, man.
I appreciate it. Yeah, man. I'm always here and I'm proud of you, bro. Keep it going. I will not lose, baby.
I will not lose. Thank you for listening. Thank you for listening to another episode of I Will Not Lose podcast. To support the show, visit iwillnotlosepodcast.com. You can subscribe to your favorite podcast player, share the episode link, leave a comment. Your contribution is greatly appreciated. And if you're listening in and can't see the QR code for donation, go to tothedesigner.com/links and there's instructions to donate up there. Thanks so much.